It is 7:31 on October 2nd, and we are starting the West Concord Advisory Committee meeting. I'm going to just do a quick roll call just to make sure everyone is present and affirm that we have quorum. And I'm just going to go from left to right on my screen. So I see Anna. Anna, are you here?
Here, yes.
Hey, Barbara.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Linda.
Yes.
And I think that is it for the folks on the committee. I see some joiners from the public or other town organizations. So great to see you all here.
I just texted with John. He should be hopping on too.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, he had responded that he was coming. So I figured he was just getting settled. Cool. Okay. So I'm going to bring up our agenda. Let me get to the right one. Okay. And I'm going to share.
Susan Nicole just came on too.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Great. Welcome, Nicole.
Sorry about on here.
Oh, are you doing okay with connectivity? I see John just joined as well.
I was having problems.
Okay. I hear a little glitching with your audio, but I also sometimes have connectivity issues, so it might be me. And hello, John. Okay, so I think that means that we are all here. That's amazing. I'm so glad. All right, I'm sharing our agenda, and I think unless anyone else has housekeeping issues, we can move right into approving a couple sets of minutes that are a little bit behind schedule for approval, but they are queued up and ready to go now. Does anyone have any housekeeping items they want to mention, like they need to leave at a certain time from our meeting or anything like that?
I need to leave at 8:30. Hopping on another thing.
Okay, great. Good to know. All right, we'll try to keep it short tonight. So let us approve some minutes. Let's go with the May ones first, which thought I downloaded these. Sorry, I'm just going to be moving some stuff around on this screen. Down here. Yes. Okay. So these are our May minutes, and let's see if I can jog our memory on what we were talking about. I do believe I circulated these possibly back in August, so folks may have had a chance to look at these before now, but just wanted to go through the different changes that were recommended.
Susan, so all I see is your email.
Oh, great. Okay.
Here.
That's not helpful. All right, hold on one second.
I don't know if you want to stop sharing and then
share, yeah, and reshare. Okay, great. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, WCAC 515. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna just move everyone to the side here. Okay, so these were the folks present. Elizabeth was at this particular meeting, and Sue LaChance, who is our liaison from the West Concord Junction Cultural District Committee, was there, and Wendy, our select board liaison, was present as well. We approved minutes. It was Anne's last meeting. And oh yeah, this was good. So we did some like organizational actions. Let's see. We have Barbara Morse as the clerk. So Barbara, I don't know if you remember volunteering for this, but this is a great reminder. So Barbara fills in for me if I'm absent, and reviews and submits notes to Heather and submits drafts with new agenda and submits to town clerk.
Maybe I do remember that. I have had nothing forwarded to me yet, but I think that's because it was over the summer, et cetera. Yeah.
So review and submit notes. I'm wondering if that really means the minutes.
Submit approved minutes to be posted.
Okay. And submit, okay. Duh. Hold on a second. Minutes each month, and then she submits drafts with new agenda. And okay, so maybe Elizabeth, you can help clear up. Does the clerk also submit agendas, or do I do that, or do we kind of agree amongst ourselves who is submitting the agenda? Because I see notes about the agenda here.
So generally, the chair is the one that submits the agenda for, it would be an email to both, Heather and I. So we would get the agenda posted. Any, documents that you want sent to the committee, generally would come through our office so that we would send them to the committee and also post them on the agenda, on the webpage for, that meeting.
Okay,
And then, for minutes, whoever, drafts the minutes, then, usually, they go out to the board for review and, the clerk, reviews the minutes, and then, submits the approved minutes to Heather, and she submits them, to the town clerk.
okay,
So the rough draft ones come to me and then I submit them out to members.
No, so since you don't have, one person doing the minutes and, you rotate who does minutes, I would probably just, recommend that, those, minutes, whoever takes them can, send them to everybody to review, and then you can adopt them at a meeting, and then, it's generally the clerk that has, the final blessing of, the minutes and can then submit them to Heather to be posted.
okay. So in the scenario that we have tonight, for instance, Anna is taking the draft minutes. She would then disseminate them to all the members of the board. We would individually give her our, corrections or suggestions on the minutes. And then the minute taker makes all those changes and gives the corrected minutes to Barbara.
It's all however you want to, so
Okay.
I'll give you an example. So, for the planning board, Heather does the minutes. They get sent to, Sue Felshin and Linda Miller, just because they're both really great at minutes. They would take a first stab at the minutes first,
Mhm.
and then send Heather back comments. Heather then sends it to the full board for, adoption at the meeting, because usually if Linda and Sue review the minutes first, there's no changes at the meeting. So it really is however the committee wants to handle this. So since you rotate who takes the minutes,
Mhm.
you can have that person draft the minutes, send them to Barbara first to take, a first read at them, and then, and then Barbara can, send them to Heather to distribute with the agenda, or Barbara could, send them out to everybody. It really, there is no, there's no required process for this. So whatever works best for your committee.
But they're not going to go to Heather to be posted unless they've been approved.
Correct.
Yeah.
But, you can send draft minutes, with an agenda, and Heather, we can send them all out at the same time to the committee. Like for tonight, I think Anna said you're gonna take the minutes. You
Yep.
could draft them, you could send them to Barbara. Barbara could read them once and, say, send them to Heather and say, please just, distribute these draft minutes with the, with the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that seems like it'll work well and it will get them unstuck from, I think, occasionally dwelling in my inbox too long. Does that sound reasonable to you, Barbara?
Sure, you know, we give it a try for a couple months and just work out the kinks. Yep.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay.
It sort of eliminates a step. I think it'll speed everything up a lot.
Definitely, yeah.
The only thing I'm not clear on is you want me to distribute the agenda to get posted, but the agenda's got to come from Susan.
Yeah, so I think, oh, go ahead, sorry. You're
No,
best.
Susan can just send, once the agenda is set, Susan can just send that to Heather to be posted. And
Directly?
sent to the
Okay.
committee. You don't, yeah,
Yeah,
you don't need to include yourself on that step.
Okay.
so yeah, so I guess separate workflows, like I need to send the agenda to Heather and Barbara needs to kind of like in parallel, send the minutes that will then get distributed. Like the previous meeting's minutes get distributed along with the agenda for the upcoming meeting.
Yep.
Is that right? Okay.
Yep.
All right. I think that's workable. Let's see. All right. And this was the meeting when I was renominated to be chair. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Let's see.
You want to change your mind on that one?
No, that's okay. That's all right. I mean, by the time I roll off being chair, I will hopefully have learned how to be chair. So in the meantime, thanks for bearing with me. Let's see, the liaisons on this particular meeting day, we firmed up, I think. And so I believe these are still the commitments of who's monitoring what other committees as you have time to do it. Let's see, CPC and climate action, yep. Okay. And then we were saying that if you're a liaison, you just need to check the agenda for these other committees and see if there's something relevant for West Concord. If not, you do not have to attend that meeting. And we would love it if you could report back if you do attend so that we can be smarter about what's happening in town. Let's see, we were talking about the CPC. This was the meeting in which we were reviewing the charge for West Concord Advisory Committee, and that was, I believe, in preparation for meeting with the planning board to better understand our charge. Yeah, and we were talking about if members of the West Concord Advisory Committee needed to be residents of West Concord or not. Oh, West Concord residents. And at that point, we were looking at the West Concord master plan.
Isn't it required that everyone be Concord residents, and the committee discussion was whether or not everyone had to live in however one might define West Concord?
Yes, that was the discussion. And then I think we ultimately decided that they didn't have to actually live within West Concord.
So leave this, they should be Concord residents, but there's a
Yes.
question mark
Yeah.
there. That,
Yeah.
okay.
So I'll put
Well,
it.
didn't we, I mean, that's actually what I agree with, but didn't we decide that they could be Concord invested in some way? For example, if you owned a business in Concord, West Concord, but you didn't live here, didn't we have that discussion?
Well, maybe the next sentence, should this change be, now say that you didn't need to have a connection to West Concord?
Yeah, yeah.
Which would include
I
businesses.
don't know if we resolved it. It doesn't sound like it because I probably would have written that we resolved it, but
Maybe it didn't get resolved in this meeting, but did in the following
Yeah.
meeting, which
no,
was.
yeah, I think we did ultimately resolve it, but
Yeah,
Yeah, I raised a concern about that. It might have been the next meeting, but I had a concern that we were opening us up to non-West Concord residents trying to represent West Concord. And I think that what we talked about was there was gonna be some kind of limit, like one person on the board
Mhm.
or something. But they would still have to have a strong tie into West Concord.
yeah.
So maybe leave that as a question mark, because I think that's where we left it that week.
Yes. So how did this resolve? Maybe we can put that on our agenda for next meeting, is to tie that up in a bow and make sure that we're clear on what we wanted there. So let's see. And we definitely wanted to have people on our committee who might have a connection to West Concord, but possibly not live in West Concord, such as a West Concord business owner, right? We had said that we were approving of a person like that being on the committee. Or
Yeah,
don't want to put words in your
or
mouth.
people who send their children to Concord Children's Center,
Mhm,
or
mhm.
possibly who are involved with a theater group, or attend one of the, do we have more than one church? Point.
Okay,
You go to the music school.
yeah. All right, yeah, definitely we should talk about that, because I'm thinking of all different, permutations, like if somebody uses a business service in West Concord, is that sufficient for them to be on our committee? You know what I'm saying? Like, you could stretch that and be saying like, oh, well, a person is a regular customer of the dry cleaner, and so therefore they could be on our committee. You know, so.
No, I don't, I would say no. Owning a business is very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can talk about this in the next meeting. The good news is, like, I don't see any folks streaming towards us who are in these gray areas of, say, like, not living in Concord or West Concord, wanting to be part of the committee, but at some point it may happen, and so I think we want to have it pre-decided.
Yeah, there are hordes just waiting to join the committee.
I know.
Hordes of
Definitely.
people.
We'll see. I mean, I do have kind of like a couple sleeper folks off on the side who I may be able to invigorate into being committee members. So I will keep you posted on that. But yeah. So we are interested in recruiting more members.
I think where that could become a problem would be like developers who, trying to join the committee to represent their own, there'd be all kinds of problems with that, but that's where I could see
Mhm.
the issue. If somebody, and then they would say, well, we have a strong tie-in to West Concord because we're a developer here, right? Or
Right.
we use the
So
grocery store.
we need to define it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's tricky, that whole thing. And my inclination would just be to not open us up to that at all. But I know there was a long debate about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reality might be that a business owner may not have time to join our committee. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've got a lot going on if they're trying to run a small business and whatnot. So maybe we'll never confront the issue, but we should define it, get to a place where we all agree.
I think Elizabeth has a comment.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
So-
Elizabeth.
No, I think you should definitely place this on the agenda, because you're getting a little off topic.
Yeah.
You're reviewing minutes.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All right. So we'll put it on the agenda for next time. Let's see. So this is the extent of these minutes. I think we should take a vote on approving them, and then we can give them to Barbara I think, Barbara, you would just accept these changes here, and then we could forward them on to Heather at the town. So I make a motion that we accept these minutes. Do I have a second?
as amended.
As amended, yes, accept the minutes as amended. Okay. I saw Greg signal his hand that he seconds. Okay, great. So I think we have to take a vote on it. Anna, do you approve the minutes as amended?
Yes, as amended.
Okay. Allison, do you approve the minutes as amended?
Yes, I do.
Greg, do you approve the minutes as amended?
Yes.
Nicole, do you approve the minutes as amended?
Yes.
Great. And let's see, John, do you approve them as amended, the minutes as amended? John, do you approve the minutes as amended?
I think I wasn't on the meeting, so I'm going to abstain from that.
Okay, John's gonna abstain. Great, okay. Excellent.
Did you
Okay,
ask me,
so-
Susan?
Oh my gosh, Linda, sorry. Do you approve the minutes?
Yes.
Thank you. Great. are you not on my screen? Okay, yep, I see. All right, let's see. We're gonna move on to another set of minutes, and these will hopefully be a little quicker. Yes. Do you guys see the minutes from February 7th, 2024?
No,
No. Okay, stop share. Share. Okay, this should be better.
good.
All right, here they are. So this really takes us back. These are like antique minutes. But basically at that time, Greg had not yet joined our committee. And the folks present were these 5 individuals. Looks like Barbara, Ann, Nicole, Anna, and me. And we had a member of the public from the Pollinator Health Advisory Committee who talked a little bit at the end. So we did minutes approval. And then we actually were talking about the West Concord Junction design guidelines. And we like parsed out assignments to the different committee members about which parts of them they would read. And this is different from the master plan. So this is a different long document that I think we all began reading. And we were talking about what our priorities for 2024 would be. So these were some of the things we talked about was revising the design guidelines or pointing out where they needed to change, getting involved with conversations about MCI, and so the West Concord Greenway idea that Anna had. And then we were talking about our liaison assignments and the West Concord Junction Cultural District Committee, and trying to redouble our efforts on understanding what they're doing and sharing with them what we are doing. These were the liaison assignments that we decided at that time. I would say the May ones, if they're different, supersede these. And we were talking about, let's see, updating the West Concord Advisory Committee webpage. And then we had made a decision to actually have an in-person meeting, which ended up happening in March, which was the meeting we had at Harvey Wheeler. And then we had a member of the public talking to us a little bit about the Pollinator Committee, sort of off the cuff. So that's what happened all the way back then. Does anybody have corrections to these or remember other things from that meeting? Okay, so I think I'd like to make a motion that we approve these minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. All right. So Anna, do you approve?
Yes.
Linda, do you approve?
I have to abstain, right? I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Looks like you weren't there. Yes.
Yeah. So technically, no.
Oh, okay.
I don't ask, it's a weird thing about minutes, but no, you don't have to abstain.
Okay.
If you want.
Yes,
to.
I approve.
Oh, okay, great. Let's see. Allison, do you approve?
Sure, I wasn't there either, but yes, I approve.
Yeah. Greg, do you approve?
Sure. Yep.
Nicole, do you approve?
Yes.
Great. And then I'm not sure if I'm seeing John anymore, but it could be that he just.
I also approve.
Oh, Barbara, yes. Thank you. And John, do you approve?
Yeah, yep. Mhm.
Okay, great. All right, so I will be sending these off to Barbara, who will send them to Heather, and then they will go up on our page. And just so you guys know, on our page, it looks like we have a lot of minutes missing, and we actually don't, because there have been canceled meetings that haven't gone off of the list of meetings. So I will also get in touch with Heather to have that cleaned up so that we can be more accurate. Cool. Okay, let's see. I want to get back to today's agenda, which is here. Okay, so let's dive into our West Concord Village Master Plan review and associated matrix. We have been plowing our way through this, and we made our way through 20 of these rows last time. Hold on, I'm gonna have to stop sharing and reshare. So I think we should feel proud that we made it through about 20 of these rows during our last meeting, and we finished right here on row 40. So just to kind of review why we are doing this understanding this kind of list of to-dos that was put together in 2010, back when the master plan was created. Doing this review helps the MCI committee and everyone else at the town who is trying to understand how to develop the MCI property and like eventually have it be more integrated with West Concord Junction, helps them understand what has been accomplished that was a priority, decided in 2010, and what has not been done yet, so that we can potentially focus on it more. And if we are getting some funds to make improvements happen, that we're able to direct them in the correct way. Is that an accurate explanation of the purpose of this review? Elizabeth, I just want to make sure I'm not mischaracterizing it.
Nope, that's perfect. And I was gonna ask if you can scroll up to number 18.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so yep, so there's 3 in blue, that
Mhm.
one, 22 and 23.
Yeah. Okay.
Those were on my list from the September 11th meeting that I just finished, so my apologies to Anna and Allison. But so if you want to read through those 3, if anybody has any questions, but those were the 3. And then I think I owe an apology to Barbara as well, because I think she sent me an email. Is that right, Barbara?
That's right.
Okay.
It was a long time ago, over the summer. Not a big deal.
Seriously, it was that long ago? It was not, really. So
Anyway, not a big deal, Elizabeth.
so I still have work to help out. But so I got those 3 done, so.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Do we want to like just take a spin through these, since these are new information since the last time we met? It looks like this update is related to transportation network and circulation. And it's the yes, the commuter parking lot on the list for repaving, evaluated as part of the Assabet River Bridge and Trail project. So there's a connection. Okay, so that's good to know that those things are being considered in tandem. Let me see if I can crank up the font on this. Oops, nope, that's not what. Are you guys seeing this okay, or like?
Yeah.
Do you want to you just go to the 100% thing? See, it says
Oh, yep.
100%
Yeah,
and yeah.
you're right. Okay, yep, there we go. That might be a little bit better. Okay. So that was one of Elizabeth's, and then this one is also related to transportation, the bridge. Okay, this is the pedestrian bridge over the Assabet River that would connect the, what do you call it, like the Novo complex and all of that stuff. That's like the business park over there, connect it to West Concord Junction.
These look great, Elizabeth. My memory is that you were going to put in we didn't have very specific information about these, and you put in the specific information. I think they look great.
Thank you. And Barbara, it really was. It was an email you sent me on September 5th.
Sorry,
about.
I just had a question about 23. Do we want to just say that you said it's not completed, and we talked about those are being privately held, but is that, why is that even on there? Should we just say not to proceed with this?
I would probably, not feasible or not viable.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's not viable.
Yeah.
So instead of saying not completed, I would say not viable.
Yeah, that works
No,
better.
at the beginning.
At the beginning,
Okay.
yeah.
Like right here, not
Yeah.
viable here. Okay. Okay,
Sorry.
it's all right.
And the only reason I highlighted them in blue is so I could find them, so you don't have to keep them in blue.
Okay, well, I'll leave them for now because it helps us
Yep.
remember which ones you weighed in on. So I think we've reviewed all of those three. Great. Okay, so let me get back down to where we had left off. So I guess your question to Elizabeth, Barbara, had probably been on one of your items up here, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
and it was right before our September meeting then, Elizabeth, right?
yes, it was the 5th.
Okay.
So I'm not aware of, what was it? It was economic development strategies and incentives. But I can, yeah, I'm not aware. I mean, I can touch base with the economic vitality manager. But currently I'm not aware of there being, you know, any incentives or strategies, but let me follow up now that I have Barbara's message. You know, I'll follow up. And then the development and implement a facade and sign improvement program. That is, you know, there definitely that is not something that has been implemented or developed.
Okay.
Elizabeth, at the, and this is relevant to the I think it's relevant to the economic development initiatives and incentives at the MCI public meeting. I ended up sitting beside Chris Scalzi, who was on the board who did this master plan for West Concord, and I mentioned it to him, and he was saying that back then they were really hopeful to get businesses working together to sort of pool parking and pool, you know, that, and they had a lot of hopes, but it would have required a lot of legwork and advocacy, and he doesn't think it was done. So I think that's why there was some aspirational things in this
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
never came to pass.
So, yeah, I don't think anything came to pass. One of the things, that, you know, it was, you know, probably, you know, 3 years or so ago, was trying to look at the possibility of developing, business improvement district, which is what Hudson did for their downtown. And that's where property owners actually agreed to come together, form a business improvement district. They basically, it's an actual formal process that, you know, happens, you know, along with the state, and they, you know, assess fees and pool their resources. In Hudson, they, you know, actually hired a bid manager, and they may hire like staff. So, you know, Public Works can only do, you know, so much. And the example in Hudson is, so the bid comes together, and you know, they may, you know, get the, you know, planters, and, you know, have the flowers and water the flowers. Somebody goes and puts out on all the awnings in the morning, and you know, keeps the, you know, light poles and things, you know, painted, and they work with the community on promoting, you know, like Porch Fest, and they, you know, work together in, you know, or signage, or parking, and so that may have been, when this was done, something that was thought about, but you are correct, it was never done.
Would there be anything keeping us from doing that now, Elizabeth? Is it like more complicated, or is it
No,
just the same?
no, it's, I mean, it's an investment, and it's, you know, it's the property owners that, you know, are the ones that, have that conversation and agree to form a business improvement district. And, they bring in, many of the, tenants become participants. But no, there's definitely nothing to, I would love to see West Concord and Concord Center. But, Marcia and I started the conversation, it was, I think, like 2018.
Mhm.
And then, when the pandemic happened, focus was just trying to stay, afloat.
Yeah.
But so now, it may be a great time to, it's something that you can talk about and, so another future agenda item, you can, maybe, talk to the Concord Business Partnership and, have a conversation with the Economic Vitality Manager.
Yeah.
Is it, this may be something that lots of people know, but I definitely don't. Are the businesses in West Concord, is it a group of independent sort of property owners who then rent? Or are some of those business properties owned by the business owners, or is it a mixed bag, or do we know?
No, there's actually for West Concord, there's actually quite a few business owners that own, the buildings as well. So, starting with, Deborah's, and, you think about some of the, Concord Outfitters, Lawless Upholstery. So there's actually quite a few, business owners, even the, West Village Tavern, that actually own the Woods Hill Table. Those are all property owners that actually own the, own and or manage the businesses as well. So there's actually quite a few.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone here has been to Hudson, but it is a great little town, and that you can tell people are taking great care to keep it an attractive place to live, work, shop, dine, participate in community activities. So if you are interested in checking it out, I totally encourage that.
So there isn't any business group right now in town of any sort?
So there's the Chamber of Commerce, which
Yeah.
is the business operators. There's the Concord Business Partnership, which is property owners. And then from the town's perspective, there's the Economic Vitality Committee.
And would any of
and-
them have, would any of them sort of be thinking about these same things?
I'm not sure. That would, so I can send an email to the Economic Vitality Manager, and and ask if any of those groups have thought about looking into a bid or not.
Yeah, I would think that the MCI advisory, maybe those are groups that they're going to reach out to. I haven't heard those names at the meetings, but are those groups Concord wide? So West Concord and Concord Center, like all the
Yes.
businesses? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, we can kind of talk about a bid maybe in our next meeting a little bit more. We can each do a little bit of research on it and see if we think this would be something we'd like to propose and, I don't know, try to get started. Let's move on to, let's see, where we stopped last meeting. Okay, I think we covered number 40 here, enhancing the off-street parking lots, and I think we did include that that was not done yet. Enhance private off-street parking lots. This one might have been one where we had a question like, why would this have been necessary? Maybe they were
Well, I
not
think-
paved very well or something.
Yeah, and part of the parking plan that was done in 2012 was this idea of combining parking for all the different businesses together and
Mhm.
making it really clearly marked. So I guess that just seems like it's part of that same process to me, but it was listed
No.
separately. No?
So, so the planning board is looking at the parking requirements in the zoning bylaw, which deals with the required parking for various uses on private property.
Okay.
And you know, based on those uses and if new development comes in, how is parking established? How is it handled? So it is not the planning board's role as it relates to any public parking, whether it's on street or parking lots or something like that. And what the planning board's doing as far as the zoning bylaw would not translate to current situation of private property owners agreeing to basically combine all their parking and have, I think Salem finally did that in their core business district. All the property owners just agreed, parking, whoever has parked, it's all public. We're not going to have little signs that said this is only for this business, and people can park and walk and shop, and so that is not something that the planning board's working on. So the planning board is currently looking, and I can write this up, Susan, if that would be helpul, what the planning board's doing as far as the zoning bylaw and the parking requirements.
Let's see. Yeah, I think let me see if I can move my cursor here. I'm having a little trouble.
So do you mean, Elizabeth, that if we wanted to have clearly marked parking areas, we could do that, but they would only be the public areas? They wouldn't be the areas right around each of those privately owned businesses?
Correct, because those are private, that's private property.
I mean, even having just those public areas marked clearly would be a big improvement.
How did Salem go about doing that, Elizabeth? The business owners got together, they just initiated it, or?
You know what, I don't know, well, I do think that downtown commercial district for Salem also has a bid, business improvement district. But we can research that and find out for sure.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to go back to number 37, which is also related to parking. I want to make sure, I believe I'm the one who entered these notes last meeting. I want to make certain that they're accurate. So this project or program in question was a parking management plan for West Concord. And that sounds very general. Again, the planning board is investigating the private parking requirements when new development is proposed. And anything else related to parking is not under their purview at this, or not, they're not investigating that at this time. Is that correct?
Yes, kind of. So, but I can wordsmith that if you'd like.
Okay. Because
Yes,
I think
definitely the parking management plan was only dealt with public parking and on-street parking or the public parking lots, and the rules and regulations for public parking. So
okay.
like certain streets were made 3-hour limits, and, you know, different, things for the public on-street and public parking lots is what the parking management plan was.
Jeez.
So
Okay,
that's number 37.
yeah, so number 37, so it sounds like this is the parking plan that we are sort of wanting related to the public parking, and then the planning board has left this piece alone and is focused on the private parking for
Well, the
buildings.
zoning bylaw.
The zoning bylaw, okay, all right. So there's a parking management plan, but like perhaps it has been outgrown a little bit. Did you have a chance to look at this plan at all, Anna? I think this was yours, right? Number
I
37?
did. It didn't seem like things were all that different to me. I
Okay,
mean, they have to be different after that many years, but it was all recognizable.
Yeah, it not really. I mean, not, other than, you know, the parking meters being removed. And I think since 2012 in West Concord, that little, the spur for the, Bruce Freeman Rail Trail,
Mhm.
that was additional parking got added there.
Yeah, yeah,
But, you know, if you think about it, not much else has changed.
okay. All right, so let's move forward. Speaking of expanding the parking on the railroad spur, okay, so we had covered this in last meeting. It's done. Enhance private off-street parking lots. This is, I think we agreed, street parking, that this is not done, and also the planning board is not focused on it. And private,
Yeah, I'm not sure that would be, you know, like something within the planning board's jurisdiction.
mhm,
This would be if the business owners joined together in some sort of business improvement district or collaboration,
Yeah.
right?
So, I mean, so it may be something that the Economic Vitality Committee wants to investigate with private property owners.
all right, let's see. I know we need to keep moving here. Designating satellite commuter parking area at Baker Ave Business Park. No, not done.
I don't believe so. I drove around and looked and I couldn't find anything that looked like that.
Yeah. Screening large parking areas.
But actually, does that, I mean, is that something that will come with
With the
Nova
bridge, right?
and Bridge? Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of space over there, but
Mhm.
Elizabeth,
what is that,
once the bridge is there, would it make sense to, that's probably one of the reasons they want the bridge, to have that be a satellite commuter parking area?
No,
Baker Ave? No?
no, you know, the bridge will, you know, will connect the Baker Ave, business area, so people come in the train, they can just walk over.
Yeah.
But it's not intended to be a commuter parking, satellite parking area.
Is there enough commuter parking now?
Currently, I don't think the West Concord commuter lot ever gets full.
Okay.
This all changed with, you know, post-pandemic. The one at Crosby is never full either.
so is this one of those ones that should come off?
I,
Or leave it
be
at,
looked
so the
at?
idea
I
gets
don't-
considered?
yeah, I'm not sure if it's appropriate any longer. So 2012 would have been before the Marriott got built. And then I don't remember when Harvard Vanguard got built. So, I'm not sure that it's, it's appropriate because you have more intense uses on that site now.
Well, there's still lots of
There's
space.
still tons of parking if it were needed. But it sounds like maybe it's not needed. But
Yeah.
it would
I-
be
I-
a good satellite parking for people coming to shop or go to, dinner or something.
So that's where you have this, what the planning board's doing as well is, there's is the zoning bylaw accurate in what it's requiring for parking for all of those uses? If, every day, it's never, ever full. When if all those uses were at 100% occupancy and there's still, 60 parking spaces, further away, so everybody wants to park by the front door, then, that's where what the planning board's looking at may be able to dovetail into something in the future. When, hopefully, the bridge gets built before I retire, but, then, that again, may be something to investigate, at that time.
Has anyone ever looked at not allowing or taking away the on-street parking just on the block, the Woods Hill to Tea Cakes block? That is so
congested.
constricted to drive, and it's so unattractive. And those people could park in the lot, it's a.
So I think that's where you get into, the parking management plan from 2012 to now, where, in 2012, the parking in the West Concord commuter lot was full. You have permit, Concord permit parking, where people are getting permits and nobody's parking in that section any longer. Even the paid parking along the tracks, is not full every day. So is the conversation, which would be, a lot of different groups, select board, Public Works Commission, Economic Vitality Committee, the business groups, because you'd have to look at ways, parking initiates a very visceral reaction in people. So, if there's, 15 spaces, along that section, which, I am in 100% agreement that if you took away one row of parking and, had, a better designated bike lane instead, and, it would really change that, even just that little section. But it would have to involve, a very robust community conversation and how to offset the removal of that parking.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's worth investigating.
It's tough because the business owners will come out and support the parking staying as it is, because they don't want their customers to have to walk even like one more step to the door of their business by having that parking go away. That's what I have seen happen before. But it
Well-
doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to
And-
get past that somehow.
Yeah, I think we should put down something here like, should we reconsider limiting parking on the street in those 2 blocks that are so congested, or just the 1 block of Woods Hill Table, just so that somebody else looking at this thinks about it. If we're going to get money invested in West Concord as MCI gets developed, why not think about it again? Is my opinion.
All right, I'm gonna jot this down here. I don't know that it belongs necessarily on this item, but I'm gonna just jot it down so we capture it. Think about moving on street.
Because Lexington is so nice in that sense. You've got these bigger sidewalks that are just so pleasant to hang out on, and people do.
Yeah, I would imagine that people who think about coming, I mean, Concord Center, you can usually park in lots and stuff and walk. And it must be bigger over there because the parking, even on-street parking, doesn't seem so offensive. But in that block, it's just like driving through there, it's just awful.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Screening large parking areas. I think that would be with like some sort of attractive, fencing or like a mural or something like that. I am not sure that I've seen that in West Concord, and Anna, in fact, you said it's not done, so I
Yeah.
think we can move on from that. Is that something that we would want to have happen in any particular area in West Concord? Just curious if anyone has thought about where
Well,
that.
there's that 166 is terrible to look at,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but we don't know what's going to end up there, but that's probably the biggest eyesore.
Yeah, and also between 166 and Neshoba's parking, they have those, there's no screen. And there's just the, the plastic sort of Jersey barriers. There's probably other areas like that too.
Yeah. I agree, like planters or something would be so much nicer. They would serve the same purpose and they would be a lot nicer.
Right.
And then this last one of mine, so I guess the spots that really stand out as still needing clear crosswalks are the section of Commonwealth Avenue between Main and Lawsbrook, where I'm trying to remember what's there now. I think there just aren't enough crossings. And then the Church Street where that comes down onto Com Avenue, that's tricky.
Mhm.
There needs to be a crosswalk there, I believe. And then, of course, Kenny Dunn is really tricky.
Yeah. So Ave between Main and Lawsbrook, you're saying more crossings in general in that part of the road.
I think I wish I'd written something a little bit more than that. I think I thought there needed to be one more.
Okay.
Nicole, you
Yeah, sorry. I see people running fast for their lives on the restaurant that used to be the 99, because a lot of
West-
times they park West Tavern, they park across the street from Main Street onto Derby and Riverside, even Central. So if there's some way there could be a crosswalk by like the dance studio and the restaurant, that would make sense.
That was in our section, and we talked about that last time. Remember, Elizabeth?
Now you have to cross at Main, and then you have to cross at Commonwealth.
Yeah, there's 2, but you're asking for a third on that between the 99 and Bruce Freeman, basically. And that was up above in the transportation section. And I think, Elizabeth, you were saying that would be, or the comments were that'd be very expensive to reorient that light and, right? Not that I'm saying you're wrong. I'm just saying
No, I'm
it's
just,
not simple.
yeah, I'm just what, it comes down to, Concord Public Works, engineering and, the standards that they have for, especially crosswalks and, how those get positioned and where they get built and how they have to get built to meet federal, design and state design standards. And so it's, yeah, it definitely is, a CPW conversation about how that happens.
And Susan, you might want to just say see above. I can find the line for you if I
Okay. No,
pop
that would be
over to
great.
the other thing.
Yeah.
I live in that neighborhood, and I go down Derby a lot, or this neighborhood. And I see a lot of people running across the street. And it's tricky because you don't know which way cars are coming from
Mhm.
around the corner, hugging along the tavern restaurant.
Mhm. Okay, that's good. Let's see, number 45, we're getting into some that John worked on, it looks like.
That's line 27, I think,
Line
Susan.
27, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, okay. Line 27, okay. So, improving the sidewalk on Main Street Bridge over Assabet River. Yeah, this one is a big,
Definitely not
egregious one. Yeah. So I think we all agree that is not done. Pedestrian standards, yes. Let's see, upgrade pedestrian safety at intersection of Church and Com Ave. Yeah, the solution was a bump out between. Okay. I wonder if I wrote part of this. Some of this looks familiar to me, but anyway, yeah, so I think someone has already mentioned that this is pretty problematic, Church and Com Ave, where the tracks are as well.
Yeah, yeah.
There is a bump out between Twin Seafood and Tea Cakes, kind of like a, I don't know, enlargement of the sidewalk, but I'm thinking that that didn't really solve the problem from what I can tell. So we can actually take this away.
I seem to recall that there was a question about putting a crosswalk there. Crosswalks have to be a certain distance from a stop sign or an intersection, Elizabeth. And in order to put one there, you'd have to move it so far back that it wouldn't necessarily accomplish what we're trying to accomplish in terms of safety. It's another really challenging intersection.
Yeah.
And again, I'd probably defer to CPW engineering
Yeah.
on the specifics of that, complication.
Okay. Upgrading pedestrian alleys.
So I did this one. I don't know if you did, John, but I can talk about it.
Okay.
So I looked at all the alleys and I counted 5 along the main part of West Concord. And so if you can imagine, there's one between Lawless and Loveday.
Mhm.
That's a small alley that I guess could be developed the way the others have. There's just nothing there now but grass between Lawless Upholstery and Loveday. All of the other 4 have already been finished in some way. So there's one next to Reasons to Be Cheerful that has brick on the ground and is like an inviting place. There's one between the 2 buildings of Deborah's that has a table in it and a garbage can, and people do use it and sit there already. There's the big space between Twin Seafood and Tea Cakes that's, a whole seating area. And then the last little alleyway is sort of half an alleyway, and that's next to the tile place, and it's the little tender art space. It's got a little booth and they put art in it. And that's just a half alleyway, and then there's a drive next to it that could could not be blocked. So I only really saw one alleyway that could potentially have something done with it. And that was the first one between Lawless Upholstery and Loveday. And I don't know if they would want to do that. And they're not next to restaurants, so it didn't seem to be quite as important as the others.
I think the Reasons to Be Cheerful one is a little rough, in my opinion. It kind of could use a little upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah, the alley by the tile place is the one that has the tender art space.
Okay. I'm not sure if I know what that is.
So it's a little tiny, like it's a little house with glass on the front,
Mm-hmm.
and people have art installations in there. And
Oh.
the other day
Where's
there
the
was.
poetry phone?
Oh,
It's
where
not
is
the
it?
It's not the poetry phone. The poetry phone is next to the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail.
Okay,
This is just a little, it's just like the little room with the glass front. And the other day there were a couple people showing a film in front of it, and they had there are other related things in the little house. I don't know how people book it, but probably it's online.
It's opposite. It's basically if you're staring at standing in front of Joy Street, it's just to the left, right?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
good. All right. So amongst all of these that could potentially be upgraded, I think Linda pointed out that the one next to Reasons to Be Cheerful could use a little bit of something.
That's got the gate. It's got like a wrought
Yeah.
iron gate over it.
Uh, if the one by Lawless and Loveday is grass, would we say that that is in need of upgrading, or is that sufficient because it provides some green space?
It's not the kind of grass you would go sit on. I mean,
Yeah.
it's literally like it's literally like a grassy alley.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that anything needs to be done with it. I mean, it's a little bit off by itself. It's not in with all the restaurants and the places that people would sort of be looking to sit, obviously, but
Mhm.
that was the only alley I could find that was like kind of undeveloped at all.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's see. Would our conclusion on this upgrade pedestrian alleys be that this is partially done or still totally needs to be done? What do
Is
we
there
think?
one, sorry, I'm just thinking, is there one to the, if I'm looking at Salt Box, is there a little alley
There's
that
some
goes to that back?
tables.
What?
There are some tables around Salt Box. I don't think there's an alley per se.
Oh, really?
I mean,
I don't-
there's Farrell Street.
By the
Yeah,
shoe
there-
guy? I don't know. I'll have to go look. I have
I
something
don't
in
think
my
so.
head.
I mean, you can go look, of course, but
Yeah.
I walked it and looked for them all. I mean, there's spaces that probably could be turned into seating, but
Mhm.
I was really just looking for spaces between buildings.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be big enough to be meaningful. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. So maybe we'll say this, like partially done, because it seems like it is partially done, but certainly not perfect and not complete.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, they probably need regular reassessment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the one between what used to be Reasons, the wrought iron gate is actually left over from the building that was there, the business that was there before Reasons, which was called the Gatehouse, which was a gift shop. And at this point, because the Reasons building is empty, there probably isn't anybody really taking care of it, but
Mhm.
you know, there were planters there when Reasons was there. They used to plant in on a regular basis. So there just needs to be some effort to not to just let them be.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on them, and hopefully whoever, there's work going on in the Reasons building. So maybe whoever moves in there, we can just bring it to their attention that this is kind of a piece of something of theirs to keep an eye on. I
What's
think,
going in there? Does anyone know?
I don't know, no, do you, Elizabeth?
Which one
Reasons
is
to be
it?
cheerful?
In the reasons to be cheerful building?
No, I have not heard
Yeah.
anything
get
going in there
sold?
yet.
Hmm?
Didn't the building get sold?
I don't have any idea.
I
The
don't know
building
that
gets-
I'm
either.
not sure the building needed to be sold. I think it just was, they were using or renting the business.
I did notice that a new leaf has a new location.
It's a
Somebody
pop.
see that?
Does
Yeah,
Reasons
but-
have a new location?
No, a new leaf does. A new leaf, the one that used to be.
A temporary location. She's calling it a pop-up.
I see, yeah.
I think because there's just a lot of stuff left.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. 47, install gateway treatments at 4 entrances to village. Yes, so I do think we have 4 signs that identify the cultural district. If that probably wasn't foreseen at the time that this plan was made, because the cultural district came into being in 2016 and the plan was made in 2010. But we do have some gateway treatments. But yes, missing directionality and parking information.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure that any of the other signage had been done. To my knowledge, it's not, the next 3 rows have not been done unless I'm missing something, but I couldn't find any. And I know we've talked about that. There was some wayfinding signage discussion about the rail trail.
Yeah,
We talked about informational kiosks. Kind of in the same topic.
yeah.
I think there was even wasn't there a little grant to do that?
So this is something that I'm still following up with, separate from this, with Concord Public Works, Highway and Grounds, because there was, Concord working with Acton, got Bruce Freeman Rail Trail wayfinding signage. And Acton installed theirs, and I have yet to figure out what happened to Concord's wayfinding signage. So that,
I like the Anna, was it you, Anna, that sent those pictures from Lexington?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like this is a bigger conversation. I think they haven't really done a nice job of having the same kind of design treatment
Yeah.
to, you know, various, it doesn't just say the same thing every time. Like one might be directions to different restaurants, one might be events calendar. I'm just looking back at your email. So I think we could do a lot more of improvements to a whole system of signs. It's not just saying West Concord Cultural District.
Mhm.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So the sign process, from what I understand, is that if we, or maybe even any group of residents, is interested in having a sign placed, we need to present that to the select board. Is that what the step is, Elizabeth, to try and get permission to put a sign in, and then getting the funding for the sign to actually be made would also be a step in the process?
I think signage in general is a larger topic. I know, like, the Transportation Advisory Committee is starting to talk about signage in Junction Park. And you know, that's how the Bruce Room Rail Trail comes in, and the signage in the park. And I know right before Marcia left, the West Concord Junction Cultural District Committee was kind of looking at overall signage, and they didn't reach, what I understand, they didn't reach a consensus on signage, and I think it's a topic that needs, it needs to be discussed and brought up again. And
Mhm.
um, and it may be, you know, all of those groups, you know, coming together to talk about, you know, comprehensive signage for West Concord and, you know, and developing comprehensive signage. You know,
Yeah.
we don't, you know, Concord doesn't even have, you know, the, you know, consistent, you know, blue P for parking that's worldwide. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, there's, so, yeah.
So
I
like
do,
if those groups were to get together to discuss it and come up with a proposal, it at that point, is it that it would get taken to the select board and like all the groups would stand behind it and say, this is what we want, and then the select board would vote on whether they approve those sign placements?
yeah, I mean, you'd have to bring in other, you know, you'd have to bring in Concord Public Works, you know, engineering and, you know, Concord Public Works Highway and Grounds, because, you know, ultimately they're the ones that have to maintain, you know, the signage and then I would imagine, yes, you know, the select board would be involved and, you know, depending on, you know, the signage is, you know, would, you know, definitely Concord Public Works and engineering would, you know, have to weigh in and um, I think you would want that buy-in and support,
Mhm.
you know, before you go to, you know, the time to, you know, apply for different grants.
Mhm.
But, you know, that would all be part of that conversation.
And just to kind of ask, is that something that the town would ever set aside money to implement signage, not only in West Concord, but also in Concord Center? Or is that something that really only would get funded by a community grant from, you know, the state or something like that?
Good question. Yeah.
I'm not proposing a warrant article or
Yeah.
anything like that, but I'm just curious, because it does seem like it's a public good for the town, like for people to know where they're going when they live here and also when they are visiting, understanding their parking choices and where to find
I
diners.
wonder how Lexington did it, because I was just noticing even their blue P that you brought up, Elizabeth, is in the design system
Yeah.
of their, you know,
Yeah.
that little arch they have. It's all very consistent, and they put the blue P within that. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious how they did it.
Yeah.
I can find out, but I would imagine, you know, there would be, you know, the consensus of, you know, developing a signage program. And, you know, it either becomes a, you know, a capital part of the capital improvement program. And, you know, gets allocated as a capital expense within the plan, or, you know, grant funding.
Okay. Well, that's good to know how broadly one could take action on that. I think it's something we've talked about a lot, so it could be good to see maybe it is possible to get these committees together and to try and hammer something out. I think that would be great. All right, so let's keep going through these. I think we should plan on adjourning by 9 o'clock. If we could finish just like 49 and 50 here, I think that would be great. And then we can pick up more rows the next time we meet in November. But let's see, 49, install informational kiosks and business directories.
I feel like these are all kind of related to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I would imagine, and maybe by asking Lexington, we'll get this information, but maybe there's like a consultant or a firm that just does like an audit and a design, a consistent design throughout the community that does all these things at once. And because if we do it kind of haphazard, then it's gonna look that way. It's gonna like
Yep.
signs everywhere.
That's what I
No
think
consistency.
with the West Concord Junction Cultural District. I think they got a Mass Cultural Council grant, and I think it was Mark Favorman who came and, worked with them and a consensus on signage was not, did not happen. So, I think that's what happened with that consultant and that grant. But I can. I think the visitor and tourism manager worked with Marcia on that, so I can ask her.
Nicole, go ahead.
When I was attending the West Concord Junction Cultural District meeting last night, they too were also talking about having a kiosk for all their artwork and murals. And I saw, gosh, why can't I remember? Chris Randall today. And we went over some of the things that were spoken about last night as well. They actually have a brochure with a map on it. Of West, I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
I had never heard of it or seen it, but it does seem to me it harkens back to what we were just discussing, that it should be all the different transportation committee with us, cultural district, and whoever else might benefit from getting together to talk about these different things.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So not only talking about signage, but also these other things like the kiosks and any historic information we want to convey to people, along the road. Or I do think we have some historic information boards along the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail, if I'm not mistaken, and like in the area of the train station in West Concord Junction, but maybe I've seen 2 or 3, but that's where they are. They're not elsewhere.
So there's
Yeah.
interpretive panels along the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail that were done. And I think there's a couple more going down towards the end, more natural resources towards Sudbury.
Okay.
But I think if you're talking about, like other historic interpretive panels than the village, I would probably, I would recommend reaching out to the Historical Commission. They are currently going through a pretty intense historic resources plan. There's going to be, a lot of really great things coming out of that plan. And I think that you could reach out to the Historical Commission to get their feedback on, the historic interpretation panels for the village.
Okay.
As well as any information that should be on a kiosk. And it was like what John had just said, having one firm that would oversee all of this so it looks very cohesive with all the different interest groups would be wonderful.
Okay. All right, I think we can probably stop on this list here right now and pick it up again the next time we meet. Let's see, there were some action items that came out of this. Amongst them were reaching out to the Historical Commission. I'm wondering if there's anyone on our committee who thinks they have time to reach out to someone, the chair of the Historical Commission or a member that you might know, just to get a sense for what they're doing and whether we should be paying attention to the historical places they are identifying in West Concord.
I think Alan Bogosian was on this Zoom, but I think he's off now. And I think he's a member of that group.
Oh,
So
okay.
Alan's the current chair.
Okay.
But what I will do is I will Ann Clifford is one of my senior planners in the planning division, and she supports the Historical Commission. So I can touch base with Anne and she can coordinate with Alan. And, you know, provide feedback to the committee.
Okay. Great.
Do
Let's
you,
see. Go ahead.
do you know, Elizabeth, if they are also looking into all the stuff that happened around the Civil War that Paul McCone talked to us last week about, or last time we met about?
The muster?
Yes,
As far as the historic resources plan,
yeah.
I'm not sure if it's gonna be, you know, if it's gonna be that detailed. It's, you know, it's a planning, you know, a kind of like the planning guidance document
Oh,
on,
okay.
you know, areas, you know, for historic preservation and yeah, I'd have to ask Anne, you know,
Okay.
what details are being included in that.
Okay, so I want to say Elizabeth to check with Anne. Okay. Let's see. And then maybe collectively the group, since we seem to be kind of intrigued by this idea of a business improvement district, maybe we can do a little bit of online research, or if you have friends who live in communities that have started a business improvement district, like if you know anyone in Salem or Hudson, or I'm sure there are other ones, would be great to get a little bit more information on that. Elizabeth, is there any like official resource that you think we should look at, such as does the state have a website that kind of explains what the
Yeah, if I'll send that to everybody.
okay, great. All right. Let me just check our agenda to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay. Membership, as I mentioned, there are a few people kind of on the sidelines who I'm going to look to see if I can get interested in our committee, but you guys can always feel free to encourage your friends to join. We are looking for folks who are possibly like architects and or folks in the building business, or urban planners, or folks who have backgrounds like that, if we can get them for our committee. As far as liaison assignments and or reports, is there anything that you wanted to share about a meeting that you went to? Any person on our committee who wants to share about a meeting you've been to since the last time we met, you think we should know about? I know Allison and I went to the MCI committee meeting, the first of, I think, 3 public meetings that they're going to have. And that was pretty interesting. I mean, they were just kind of talking about the roadmap for what they're doing. You can watch the video online if you want to see that. They had a kind of short presentation and they opened it up for a lot of public comment. I shared with the whole group there that we're going through this master plan and we're hoping that that is useful to that committee as they think about how to join the MCI development 2B with West Concord Junction. So that's great. And I guess Allison can update us the next time at a meeting, what she's been hearing from that committee as it meets. And, I do believe that we are going to have a joint meeting with the planning board on the 29th of October. Elizabeth just confirmed this with us, just like a couple minutes before our meeting. So I wanted to remind everyone of that. I'll send you an email to remind you also, but I think that was the date that this group said they were most available amongst a few dates that were thrown out there. I believe it's a Tuesday night, and we would likely try to meet in person with the planning board at that Kais Road conference room. I think is on the first floor where they usually hold their meetings, but there will be a hybrid option also.
The MCI meeting also posted a questionnaire that people could respond to, basically asking for feedback on what you'd like to see potentially happen with the MCI, which was interesting. And there were some really interesting ideas that people put forward.
Did they post the results of that questionnaire? Is that what you're saying, Barbara?
No, not results, just that
Okay.
they're looking for as much feedback or participation as they can get from residents.
Yeah, right.
Is
that
is it still up?
Yeah, is it still open?
I
Well,
don't believe so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that. I remember filling that out like on paper at the meeting there. Cool. All right.
Where would you find that question?
I don't know that it's still open for people to contribute to. Let me just take a quick look. CI. Coming up with anything. Let me just do one other quick check on their page. CI Concord Advisory Board. Yeah. I'm not seeing anything on their webpage, but that does remind me as I went there that they've divided their work into 3 different committees. One is land use planning and strategy. The other one is legal and government affairs. And the third one is community outreach. So I feel like as we learn more about the remits of each one of those subcommittees, it could be good for us to engage with any of them. Land use planning and strategy and community outreach seem most aligned with what we're doing. But at any rate, once we get our master plan list done, I would love to be able to go to one of their meetings and present to them what we've got and show them the tool that they can use in order to prioritize improvements in West Concord as those become optional during this whole MCI discussion. Okay. Do we have any comments from members of the public? Really see any members of the public? Maybe Christine. Okay. Seeing that we don't have any comments from members of the public, I make a motion that we adjourn our meeting tonight. Do I have a second?
Yes.
All right. Seeing that we have no further business, I will adjourn the meeting. The meeting is adjourned.